Hi, welcome back. This is tcwu here for your 5-minute Seattle real estate market update. There are two very important trends that are happening right now in the Seattle real estate market, and they will have fundamental impact on our real estate prices here. So I'll do my very best to cover everything here in this short video. Let's dive right into it. First, rising interest rate. According to Mortgage News Daily, interest rate for a 30-year mortgage right now is hovering right around 4%. Compared to 3.25% just a couple months ago, this is a huge increase of 23%. I mean, if you take an average home in King County, which is currently at right around $785,000, with a typical, let's say, 10% down payment, we're talking about a $300 increase in the monthly payment alone. And that's just for a medium price home in King County. So what is surprising to a lot of people is that the market didn't respond to the rising interest rate with signs of reduced demand. In fact, quite the opposite happened here. What we are seeing right now is actually one of the most competitive market on record for home buyers. According to Redfin's latest report, 70% of offers written by Redfin agents face competition in January, which is up from roughly 60% a year earlier. Also, Redfin went on and said that specifically for Seattle, we have almost 80% bidding war rate, which is the third highest in the 40 US metropolitan areas in the nation. So how does it make sense that the market became even more competitive despite of coming out of the winter months and the interest rate has risen more than 20%? As a real estate broker that has been actively working with clients for the past 20 years, also as a real estate investor myself, this is what I'm seeing. Generally speaking, I see today's buyers have 1 to 3 things in common. 1, stable, well-paying jobs. 2, unlike 2008, these buyers actually have the down payment required to make a home purchase. They either have the down payment in stocks or some sort of investment. Typically, their portfolios have done quite well over the past few years, but they're a little bit concerned about the volatility in the economy. For example, a potential correction in the stock market, or they're concerned about the record high inflation that will reduce their purchase power over time. Third, they have strong personal reasons to own a home, such as millennials getting married and wanting to start a family and have a yard, or people that work from home and they just need more space, or they may be just paying an arm and a leg right now in rent, and it doesn't really make sense for them because they feel the rent can be going towards their mortgage payments. So the takeaway is that the sentiment right now is that even though the interest rate is much higher than before, buyers are expecting the interest rate to rise even farther as the Fed continues to raise the federal fund rate. So for the short term, the rising interest rate is actually doing the opposite by causing a feeding frenzy for people who need to buy and want to lock in the current interest rate before it climbs even farther. The second story that is developing right now is the easing of COVID-related restrictions. And what comes with that is some companies are beginning to request their employees to return to the office. It was just announced that Microsoft and Expedia both had made formal announcements requiring their employees to return to the offices. For Microsoft, the company wrote in a blog post that Washington State work sites, which include offices in Bellevue and the headquarters in Redmond, will switch to the final stage of Microsoft's hybrid work model, effective as of February 28th. After that, employees will have 30 days to make adjustments to their routines and adopt the working preferences they have agreed upon with their managers. For Expedia, it was reported in Puget Sound Business Journal that Expedia will return to the office starting April 4th, and the company expects its employees to spend at least half of their time in the office, and the policy will apply to all the office unless local restrictions prohibit it. And it seems it's not just Microsoft and Expedia are the only ones ramping up their post-pandemic preparation. Amazon is easing their mask restrictions for vaccinated employees, and T-Mobile is also giving its corporate employees a vaccination ultimatum. One thing to note here is that in terms of tech companies that are based out of Seattle, Microsoft is actually the second largest employer in our state. They have 57,000 plus employees, and for Expedia, they're actually our 7th largest tech employer with 3,800 plus employees. Remember that prior to COVID, Seattle was going through a tech boom that was transforming our city. We're going through urbanization at a pace that the city has never seen before. With all the companies that were coming here to set up shop, hiring people, and they come here to live and to work, we have huge increase in demand for housing and office. In fact, Seattle had the most number of cranes out of all the US cities 3 years in a row. I think at one point we have 65 cranes that were going at the same time. And to illustrate that point, I have a rendering here for buildings that were built after 2018 as an illustration. So unfortunately, when COVID happened, the condo market basically got flipped on its head. Things that made urban living desirable were no longer applicable. For example, without having to go to the office, people didn't have to live within walking distance from work, and also the socialization aspect was diminished as restaurants and bars were shut down. In fact, people were actually concerned with sharing elevators or using the condo amenities with other residents in the same building. And most importantly, people stay home a lot more and simply just need more space. As a result, condo prices became stagnant, as you can see here. Over the past 3 years, the condo prices have been pretty flat, despite the housing boom and the housing shortage with record high pricing appreciation. Okay, let's face it, remote work is here to stay, and many companies have even switched to be fully remote on a permanent basis. However, as more and more companies begin to require their employees to return to the office, even on a hybrid basis, some of the elements that once made urban living desirable are gradually coming back. Therefore, over the next year, I'll be watching very closely on how this trend will impact the condo prices in the downtown Seattle area, and I'll keep you posted here. So, I hope this video has been helpful for you. I welcome the opportunity to discuss with you about buying, selling, or property management in the Seattle area. Please feel free to contact me at the contact information listed in the description. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.